And we are live, and I realize this is on the lower area. Scuff already. Alright, folks, I am here to talk about Captain Con. As you may or may not know, we had a big Malifaux event, probably the biggest since GG4 came out in North America, over in Warwick, Rhode Island, a place that nobody even in America knows where that is.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
we had two tournaments. The Minecraft Content Creators, Minecraft, Jesus Christ, the Malifaux Content Creators International and Invitational. I'm all right, boys. It's scuffed and
Have you
Booty
been
and Plunder.
drinking already?
No, I haven't had
Do it
anything to
live.
drink. Here are my good friends Brian and Kyle. Say hi.
Sup?
Hi.
You may know them better as Schemes and Stones, although they've been a little quiet lately. They are still there.
I mean, I
Oh.
still live.
Technically, we exist.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So the Captain Con, it was two events, as I was saying. The MCCI was an invitational where each content creator team basically had a team of two people. For this event, it was me and Pope DARPA, and we played 3 rounds. Best score at the end won. And Booty and Plunder was a normal 5 games, 50 soul stones, band format with double masters. Yes, European players, we play with double masters in America sometimes. It's a thing.
It works sometimes.
I'll defend it. I think it works with bans. I think most of the time double masters are griefing, and the scenarios when double masters are good, it's one very specific master, and you can just ban it. But that's me. That's my concept.
I don't even know what's meta anymore. What is considered broken with the doubles?
Honestly, nothing at the moment I can really think of is like a broken combo. There are things that are just
Not,
efficient.
yeah, I haven't heard of anything that's like legitimately broken. I'm sure there probably is something. I haven't heard of what that is yet.
We can talk a little, I'll just talk about it now. Pope DARPA played one of our MCCI matches against Levy, and he was playing Guild Perdita the whole entire way, and he took Lush 2 against Levy because, you just want an anti-demise guy who can go in there and just punch Levy, and then he's gone.
Yep.
So that's one of those scenarios where the second master is pretty decent. Like a lot of the time, I think
Mhm.
second masters are just like stat points, and they're just good models, not necessarily broken anymore.
Yeah,
Lush
I
2 being a
agree.
good example of just like a guy that can go in there and punch things. Another great example I think is um, McCabe 2 in
Is
both 10
always
Thunders
good.
and X's. He just draws a lot of cards, and he's like a tanky boy who can just stand there constantly drawing cards. It's really annoying.
And just like the upgrades are like whatever minions you have in your pool become better, right? Or you just have McCabe do like his own, like take a flank on his own and just you have a ton of options. He creates very wide flexibility for you if you second hire him,
Yeah,
which is
but
really
in order to get the upgrades out, you have to bring like Luna, which I know you're going to take most of the time, but it is annoying getting that scrap marker if you're a crew that
20.
can't really get it naturally.
Yeah, I think that's 20. That package is 20 stones total. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
I don't
16 for
I
him
don't
and then 4 for
I don't
Luna.
remember how much he costs.
He's a 15 master. Like I think
But no,
almost everyone.
how much Luna costs.
He's 2, so 3 soul stones, so 19.
Okay, 19. Which, all things considered, not like is probably pretty good. Like it like for as far as outside a like out of keyword spending, it feels pretty affordable.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. And the curse object aura is just so annoying to deal with.
Oh yeah.
So you definitely almost certainly bring Luna as well for soul stones. Also, isn't she no, she is insignificant. Never mind. Not the greatest. Um But we'll get into that a bit more. I'm actually just going to copy this tab so I can get a few things up and going. So yeah, I figured I'll just take it away with the games. I have the different setups. Thanks. Shout out to Jesse who ran this whole tournament. It was an amazing event, a lot of fun. The people at CaptainCon are very nice. The hotel is nice. Everything's very nice. You guys went to CaptainCon what 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, yeah.
Yep.
It was a good time.
Did all right. Yeah, it was fun.
I intend to be back eventually. It's just it's one of those confluences of events that like this year I just couldn't swing going. I have a bunch of obligations towards the end of the year I need to save PTO for. Otherwise I probably would have gone. So
yeah, I do. It was unfortunate you couldn't make it, but oh well.
Yeah.
Spoiler alerts for this tournament. I played Zoraid all 8 rounds of the tournament I played? Yeah, 8 rounds. So I played 8 games of Zoraid. All of them were Zoraid 1. It's it's a very good list.
Huh. I wonder why. So I'm gonna soapbox real quick. Zoraid always has been good. The entirety of Malifaux 3rd edition. And Neverborn people have just tried to gaslight the entire community into thinking purple was bad. But they always had Zoraid, who's always been, at worst, super solid, always going to be a reliable pick. And then Weird was like, oh shit, purple keeps losing and their players are telling us they're unplayable. So let's take a bunch of their models that don't sell and crank them to fucking 19. And I'm pretty sure those models formed the backbones of your lists with Zoraid. Am I wrong?
I actually think you're pretty on the point. A lot of her old models I used that felt pretty solid, and I think part of that is GG4. I don't think Zoraid was that good in GG3. I will take you off your soapbox. You had to kill things, and she's not the greatest at that before having Angel Eyes.
But I don't know. The injured stacking, obey, companion, whatever murder thing seems fine.
You didn't have
before Angel Eyes got prettied up, and then now we have Angel Eyes.
He's thinking with the Voodoo Doll, which is not quite the same. But
no, I'm not even Voodoo Doll. What has the companion that you can do mean things with that I'm thinking of? It'll come to me.
You're.
I don't know if they have any companions, do they? Is there any companion in Neverborn? They have a decent amount of accomplice. I don't know if they have any companion.
Maybe I'm thinking either. Fine, maybe I'm wrong on that one. Either way, I still think the Zoraid. I guess they don't have a companion. Okay. The Zoraid double obey, injured stack on something, or injured stack double obey. Your opponent takes an action or activation, and then you murder whatever you injured stacked on, and then obeyed something to charge it. Still very reliable. Or obey enemy models to go kill themselves or kill each other. Very reliable. Still always going to work.
I absolutely hate that. I'm going to say that. After my 8 games and now counting myself as a pro Zoraid player, I am never a fan of obeying enemy models, especially to attack. I obeyed one enemy model this whole tournament, and that was just to walk it closer to me to be in range of Angel Eyes, and that was the only obey I ever did on an enemy model.
That's interesting. So, why? I guess that's an interesting idea for me to hear. I also am somewhat biased because, like, I have diving charge models with Eric, right? Where getting obeyed is like I have a bunch of beefy beaters where if you obey me out of position, that is crippling. And then you have focus stack, so you're spending my focus to hit my own guys, and that makes it just reduces my efficiency so much on my beater models. I would assume that translates into across the everywhere you would run her.
No, because it's like the classic it takes 2 cards to do the same job 1 card would do kind of thing. Because like when you obey an enemy model, you have to fight them for it. Because a lot of times they're gonna throw high cards because they don't want it to happen.
Sure, but
Whereas when you obey your own thing, you can throw in as low as you can go to get it effectively.
Yeah, you need a 7 and a mask, right? But
no,
I'm just thinking
mask built in. You just need a 7 for Zoraid.
I'm thinking for ensorcelled.
Sure,
or whatever.
but just for normal obey, you just need the 7.
Yeah, you need a 7 and then the extra mask if you want to go that go that line. I'm just thinking, since you have stat advantage, and most thing so you innately are going to have like a stat advantage. Your attacker, so that's an innate advantage. Your stat 7. And most things don't have a reciprocal willpower 7 to resist you on, right? So your cards are going to go so much further. So if your opponent has to cheat their 13, which probably gets them to an 18 realistically, it's not that far out of line for you to cheat the 11 to still get what you want. Them burn a really good card to dodge, and then you get to go put them out of position. And so on. And now, like in GG4, where scheme position, like you have to be in a spot to drop your scheme markers or your strategy markers, depending on the thing, blah, 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 to do your interacting, it seems like her obeying, something just to walk once or theoretically twice, right?
Well, I don't think we're arguing that it's not good. It's just very situational. I think that's the truth. Zoraid has always been a very high skill ceiling master, and it's very easy to play her okay, but it's hard to play her maximum efficiency.
No,
I think you just got to understand
I've played
like
3
when you do
games
that.
with her, and I am not a good player, and I won all 3 of those games.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, who are you playing against? I don't like.
I don't
like. You say you're not a good player, but you play. I mean, honestly, I think anyone who plays a hot take, anyone who plays in the Malifaux Wood series, gets in their games against top tier players, you're going to be better than almost everyone you play against locally.
But no, it was one of our draft leagues. Well, a couple of them, but I always took Zoraida, and one of them was against someone who was an Arcanist player. I had Zoraida into Mei Fang.
Oh, so they were playing suboptimal masters. They also don't
you're
play
playing
a lot.
Against Jake.
I think it was maybe it was Jake, yeah. But then I had 2
I got Mei Fang too, but I had Thunder's Mei Fang.
Yeah, but then I had 2 other times where I ran her for things. I don't remember why.
I just to get back on point about the obeys a little bit. You're just talking about cheating cards though. Like even if you get the 13, then you cheat the 12. Another whole thing is like the damage in. They can just relent, so you're always minning too. And so yeah, cool. You're not having to cheat another card on the attack, but then you're also always minning.
I mean, I suppose
you're not building in your best abilities, and a lot of the time, I will say this in GG4, the models you want to obey to like hit something with later aren't models whose position truly matters. Like, sure, we have guard the stash, or it's not called guard the stash, but it's essentially it's essentially guard the stash.
Totally different.
Yeah, totally different. So you have raid the vault, where being next to something does matter, so you could obey him out, but I'll say this, I basically always went with Zoraida early. I mean, you want to. You get the injured out, you get your models to potentially kill a model immediately in the turn order. Like going with Zoraida first has a lot of value. Also, if you're going first, you can cheat your whole entire hand and then draw a whole new one. Like, there's a lot of gimmicks like that that make activating with Zoraida earlier better, in my opinion, especially with Angel Eyes now, where you go Angel Eyes, Accomplice, murder. And
then refill your hand.
At that point, like, you moving them doesn't matter that much. You're really just wanting to hit them. And normally, if you can hit them with a Hex or a Bay, that means your other models can hit them too. There was the only other time I needed to obey another model was actually against Pope DARPA, was just to obey a model closer to be within Angel Eyes' 14-inch gun in order to not have to waste focus for long-range attacks. And that was the only time I have ever obeyed an enemy model this time.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they obviously, since GG0, they removed like obey to interact with the strat markers, and they...
I thought that was determined to work again.
No, because it has to be friendly controlled. So,
thought there was something.
You can't like force them to like drop their marker in a weird spot. That was where it was like kind of broken, I think. But yeah. Okay, that's all. I'll talk about with Zoraid for now in the vague level. I think let's get into talking about the actual games.
Sure.
So round 1, MCCI. We have I can pull it up in Longshake so I can talk exactly what player I have because I definitely remember all their names. It was us versus Defective Dice.
Yeah, nice.
I got paired against. I want to say I was against. Yeah. Hey Dowdy, whose name I'm blanking on. I'm sorry. I'm really terrible with names. This is going to make me seem like a complete asshole. But I remember
So, in your
faces
defense,
and the
you did
games.
have 8 games. Oh, like that's a lot of games to like interact with people on, and names are hard. So
Yeah. But these are the content creators, you know. They're all there in spaces and people know them. So if I
Oh, that is
accidentally
fair.
diss your favorite content creator by not remembering the name, whoops.
You're a terrible person.
I think I have to increase your guys' volume, although I'm not exactly sure. Anyways. Yeah, so that was the game. We have round 1. Strategy for me was I think I was table 2, right? Where I was the flank raid the vaults guy. So I was table 1. Nothing. I'm not going to get any of this right. So the way it worked essentially for this event was whoever had momentum, whoever was the higher on ranking was the attacker. They picked. We all picked our masters at the same time, and then you pick your masters and basically assign them to the tables. And then you get to pick which tables you want that way, and your opponent gets to counterpick by counterpicking the masters. So they can then pick which master they think is best versus your master / good on that table. Each table had a different strategy and deployment, but both of them had the exact same scheme. So let them bleed, protect Eteria, espionage, hold their forces, deliver a message. Yeah.
So for this one, did you guys get to choose who you faced, or did they choose against you? Does that
I'm pretty sure
make sense?
we're because we were on top of
You were
the
considered
thing, we
higher
were the
rated
ones who
by
picked
whatever
where we
the.
were.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think the answer for why we picked it this game was Landon wanted Pope DARPA. You'll see his name in Longshanks as Landon. Wanted the plant explosives game around, and I think the map was better for me with Angel Eyes. Like it was one of those maps where it's like I had really good lines of snipering for flank.
That makes sense.
So I ended up against Explorers. It was against Jedza. Here's the crew. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to ask any questions, and then or I don't know exactly how we're doing this, but maybe just run it down.
So, looking at the Jezda list, I don't see her played often, and when I do see her play, I feel like it's always OG, not title. How did you think title behaved? Like, was it fine? I mean, I know you won the game, but like, was it how did it work?
I'll say that I think they took the exact wrong title against me.
The wrong one.
I think part of the thinking might just be that they don't want. I could obey people out of the bubble and kill them. Stuff like that is something Zoraid 1 does against the list, but realistically, Jedza 2, her models just die against me. And I think, spoiler alerts, my second game was also against Jedza, who took Jedza 2. Very similar lists. Both of them playing
really?
with the. I think part of it was both of them were just assembled the new models. This opponent painted them. They looked dope as hell. They were some of the coolest models I saw at the table the whole event. So shout out to his painting ability. They were awesome. And the new models look like really sick as well. But they just die. They die really quickly.
And they die. So I guess isn't like Justice's whole thing is like, oh, the life tokens, you can't die or whatever. So you were able to overcome that, like you have to kill something and kill it again?
Nope, that's Jedza 1. That's why I said I'm pretty sure they took the wrong title.
Okay.
Jedza
Like
2
I said, I
uses
don't
life
know the
tokens.
title at all.
Yeah, Jedza
Yeah.
2 uses life tokens to do irreducible damage to enemies on the ramp trigger.
Okay.
And also, instead of making a geode marker, they make more wraith markers. Now, here's something really fun that happened against both my Jedza opponents that I got really tilted about because I forgot about this, even though I knew it was true. Do you want to go read the traits that the geode has? Real quick, it's on her bonus action.
Impassable, hazardous, height 2, blocking, and impassable geode.
That seems pretty good, right? Like, you can just block down this impassable terrain that they can't do anything with because it's not destructible, right?
It's a 30 mil though, so like it's not that big.
If you want to look at what a geode actually is, this is its actual terrain types.
Card.
Jedza just has them wrong on her card, and they've never updated it. They've never issued an errata or anything. They've confirmed that it's a typo, and that's it. So I asked my opponents, like, "Hey, are these destructible?" Because I wanted to destroy them. They read the card and told me no, and I just trusted them. But something in the back of my head as a person who's played this list before was like, I was pretty sure they were destructible. And then I read the card and I went, "Oh, you're right. They're not destructible."
Yeah.
I guess I'm just remembering this wrong. No. I should have just pulled up the Seeker's card because, or Surveyor's card because I knew they were destructible.
That's very interesting. Because I mean, like I think the argument is very compelling. Hers, she just makes special geode markers which are not destructible.
Then they would call them something else, right?
Yeah,
they should
name something else.
Ideally, yes. But yeah, you know, like that's
I just want to state this as example 1 of things about this game that annoy me now.
Yeah, no problem. This really kind of pissed me off. I mean, honestly, if I didn't win by like a decent amount, I think I would have gotten really tilted because I got blocked off with them in one point. And don't get me wrong, I know I could have slammed to move them around, but moving them around is much worse than destroying them.
And feels bad.
Yeah.
On those, the hazardous only procs if you're in base contact, though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So
just don't get in base contact, and you're fine.
Yeah, it's not like she has an ability that just dredges them up and throws them in your face. No.
And then lets her melee through them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way that she just does that. No way.
Not at all. I mean, and doing death touch from 12 something inches away, why would you want to do that? That's not great.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's a really bad ability. It only can do min 4 irreducible.
I'm just really happy they knew to print non-scheme marker. Like, I know Dredge Up is an old ability that a few other models have, but I'm really happy they knew not to print non-scheme marker.
Yeah.
Especially in this GG4 where scheme markers are everywhere. If they could move them around. Ugh.
Yeah, that would be pretty nutty.
But I see why people want to play them. Play the title. Irreducible is dope as hell. I got really mad because last time I played him in tournaments, I always black the damage and lose because of it, but I'm going to ignore that.
Well, and that's like looking at her card, she has a lot of things that feel like seem based off just game, like Malifaux game knowledge, that all seem quite good. Like Off the Path, we know is a really, really good ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then couple that with just what else you want to do. You have the geode marker. Obviously, Death Touch is an amazing attack action, and you get to do it at theoretically 12 and a half inches or whatever it is. And then her front of the card stuff with the life tokens and the healing for her crew is all really good. So you'd think in that regard she would do better, but it seems like consistently she does not. And I kind of am curious as what that is. Is she just good, but she's getting outclassed by the better stuff? Or is there more of a gap there?
I just think, at least for my opponents, I don't know how practiced they were on Jedza, but kind of telling by like what list, they might have just not expected what I was doing with Zoraid because it's kind of new and not a lot of people are used to it yet. But like the list they hired, like Oster and Twiggy dies to Angel Eyes in 2 shots pretty much. Grave Goo dies to Angel Eyes in a couple of shots. Lamplighter dies to Angel Eyes in 1 shot with a ram.
No, I guess
Mikhail is like the only model that can be very killy or survival. And what ended up happening was my opponent put him like behind a building, and then I just shoved up bad juju with the Kurgan, and then I just hexed the hell out of it, and then repositioned Angel Eyes so Angel Eyes could just clip him. Hover means nothing against Angel Eyes. Angel Eyes finished him off, and I think he died round 1.
No, I would argue
he died at the top of round 2.
I would argue most things in the game that can't use soul stones died to focus, not focus as the game mechanic, like 2 intended shots from Angel Eyes that like you as the player running Angel Eyes are fully intent on making, and you're going to invest the cards and the soul stone for the crit. Most things are going to die to that regardless.
Yeah,
so,
it really depends on if you get the rams in your hand or not, but yeah. But Mikhail is a henchman, so a lot of it's like knowing how to hide your crew and move it forward, protect your crew from those attacks. If you're far enough away and I can't get like the 14 inches on you, then realistically I probably can't get 2 good shots on you because, I would need 4 focus essentially in order to get 2 focus shots on you, and that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, and I think like they just shouldn't have snipers be able to use soul stones. That seems to be the biggest problem here is you have a fair bit of like card cycling in Neverborn. You have to build for it, right? But you could do it, especially with Zoraid, right? So then giving potential card quality things to you, ways to gain out of activation focus or strip focus to stack it, and then stoning for the triggers you want, make it a little too seem like it's too reliable. Though I guess Hans has referenced the field guide.
Yeah.
So that's like a pseudo stone. You have to have this matching suit in hand, which is theoretically harder to do. But I think that might be an idea. As far as your list, I'm assuming it was Double Hounds, Angel Eyes, Juju, and then Season to Taste. Oh, and Kurgan, because it's great. And then Season to Taste.
As you can see right now, Widow Weaver was the taste of choice.
Okay.
So summons are broken in GG4. I'll say this right now. Especially Widow Weaver summons. If you're not playing in a band format, I think you should always hire Widow Weaver because she gets to summon these little guys, red caps, which if you don't realize, have Trail of Gore. So summoning a Trail of Gore model for I think an 8 of Crows is kind of cracked in this GG when there's so many scheme marker dropping ones.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll get into a little bit about how amazing these has been. Most of the time, you are focused on summoning Stitch Together, just because Stitch Together are just really insanely valued models, especially in Zoraid crews. They're just really great tar pits because you put them next to a model, they try to beat them down, but they have armor and bloated stench to be annoying, and then you go as Zoraid and you start hexing the model into it, and then every time it fails the hex, it heals, and if you ever hit the ram trigger, you can heal it, so it's become a really annoying tar pit if you don't just bop this guy off immediately and let him live between combats.
No, but they nerfed Stitched. They're bad now.
Yeah, but not when you summon them. You just never hire them anymore. Did you hire them before they were nerfed? Yeah, I think so, because you did that really stupid
Yeah,
list.
as you did it for the deck cycling.
Yeah.
Because that's back when you could actually rip out everything of your deck that you didn't want.
And then you could always get your severe damage guaranteed.
Yeah, that was really annoying. So take this as like my default list. I really like having 6 soul stones. That's about like the level I always try to be at. So at the moment, let's how do I do the more detailed this one? I only have Ancient Pact and Angel Eyes in this version of the list. Pretty much as you'll see me, I change out Corrupted Hounds for Wicked Dolls, and then slap another Ancient Pact and Zoraida, and that's mostly the only changes I'll do. I'll get into it a little bit more about like when bans, for example, hit Nightmare, and I can't hire Widow Weaver.
So
But pretty
that's
much
actually a question I had. So I know it was bans format. How often did people actually ban Puppet versus like insta ban Pandora Woe to block Candy? Because that's
so if they
feels
knew
like
my
the
list,
gut
they knew not to ban Woe.
Right. Okay. So that's
I
if they
gotta. I
knew
think this
you.
was a Woe ban game, actually, legitimately, but
Yeah. Well, because that's like for me, if I see Neverborn, which makes up a lot of the games I play now, unfortunately, and my opponent doesn't declare Pandora, I will like I Woe is the only thing that in my mind is scary as an out of keyword hire. But because puppets don't necessarily like pop into your head. Or Nightmare, I guess, is
yeah,
Widow
it's
Weaver.
Nightmare, not Puppets. Very importantly.
Pop into your head is like out of keyword hires. Though Widow Weaver just on her own seems really good because she has the 12-inch or whatever place.
Yeah, so good in this GG as well. That
Yeah.
place became so clutch. In so many scenarios. No, but yeah, for those who don't know, I'll go through it really quickly. The Voodoo Doll, you get to summon him in by pitching a card at the end of Zoraida's turns, and then he can just kill himself for a card. When he does, he's a construct, so he's the scrap Widow Weaver turns it into. I'll kind of go over the options. You obviously want Widow Weaver because of the place and all the other things. Vasilisa is a backup option if Nightmare's banned, because she's versatile and can never be banned. The downside of Vasilisa is that you can't stone because she's an enforcer, so you have to just hard get the mask. Not as bad as it thinks. You see a lot of cards. It does change how you wheel or not, because if you have the card before you wheel, then you don't have the scrap turn one, and then you're just like looking at the card that's good. Also, that's your ensorcel card, so there's a little bit of weirdness there. Most of the time you want to just use it for ensorcel, so I'm not the biggest fan of it. And you'll see my other spicy take, because I never took Vasilisa and Nightmare did get banned. So I'll show you what my hot take was when it did happen. So yeah, that's those are my lists. That's the game. I as I kind of alluded to, I just murked them. Let them bleed, raid, and espionage means that I just absolutely killed them. Was able to have the points just to myself, and then freely score espionage. So that led to a 7-3 game for me.
And espionage is scheme marker, center line, and enemy deployment zone.
Yeah, and then the third point is your deployment, center line, enemy deployment zone.
It's a win more scheme.
Yeah, it's a very much like,
yeah.
After I kill you, if I have the free time, I can very easily get this. It's also not like too hard with the puppet summon / Vasilisa, especially on flank. I just throw like a web marker deep in there and then just warp to it, walk, drop a scheme marker.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's a few like gimmicks. Also, this is the time where people are like, "Oh, you can Zoraid obey and drop your friendly scheme marker." Yeah, that's pretty good too. I just always went early with Zoraida and murdered people, so that was never like a good option. Right. But it is the gimmick option Zoraida has open to her for doing that if they have a model in their own deployment zone.
Well, and that gives you so much flexibility.
Yeah,
with her.
It's something to constantly pay attention to when you're paying. Yeah. But most of the time, I just used her to murder. And the dogs are amazing at getting to the backline too. 18 inches. So turn one, you most of the time you're just focusing walking twice with the dogs, so that Angel Eyes can steal the focus later. And then turn two, you just go another 12 inches and then drop a ski marker in their deployment zone. So dogs are really good at that. Yeah, that was game one. Let's go look at round two. So round two, we're attacker again. This time we are up against the Capital City crew, Owen and Jeff. This one I can tell you, this was the one where Landon ended up hiring Lush second master, and Owen just didn't know that Lush had anti-demise, so he got
Oh, that would
blown
do
out
it.
by that. Yeah, it's like top of turn 2, he let Lucius get he let Levy get decently low, and didn't know that Landon could just warp Lucius in there, murder stick him, and then just have it die.
Yep.
So that was
Or
pretty painful for Owen.
or Lucius can just like ignoring like if you ignore demise ability, it's you can leap in, kill Waif super reliably, and then be and then kill Levy, right? Like the both lines are available to title Lucius.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if
Like
you don't let
pretty
Levy get
reliable.
low enough, then you go after the
Yeah.
waifs. If Levy gets low enough by like channeling and stuff like that, then you just go, oh, I guess time to just go pop Levy.
And Lucius, I haven't played this matchup like Levy into Lucius, but I would wager Lucius is a very difficult kill for Levy to pull off because you're even stats. You have to have plus flips. So like obviously you have at least one focus, but even then, like since it's you're even stat attacking, you can somewhat negate the damage the focus can do. And since you need 3 min attacks to kill Lucius, right? Which your even stat,
Oh,
you could get
4,
stoned to
right?
negative. Say it
Oh,
again.
I guess if you're meleeing him, it's a min
Well, so
4.
this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Your gun, you're at stat disadvantage, so you can't reliably shoot Lucius with Levy because you're a 6 into a 7. So you really, if you want to kill him, you have to be doing a
Lucius is
melee line.
Oh, right, because it targets willpower, doesn't it?
It's a
Yeah.
willpower attack.
Oof.
Um,
Yeah, it's not
no,
one of the
yeah,
choose ones. I don't know why I thought it
this
was
is
for a
what I'm
second.
saying. So you need to go melee, and then like unless you get 3 attacks, you can like force through. So you draw your 2 13s in the red Joker, right? And then you stone for everything, and you can kill him. If you don't kill him right there, he just secret passages away, and then what does Levy do, right? So I think it favors Lucius mightily in that matchup because Lucius can very reliably get the damage needed to kill things because he can backdoor in, stagger Levy, and then boom, 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 kill him.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty reliable.
And this
And
is
he's
also
stat
why.
7.
Yeah. Oh, Owen, I think, hadn't really played. He's only played like one game of GG4 and doesn't really know the bans, and he just unfortunately didn't know about Lush. So, whoops. Didn't get to ban him, and then Landon
You
just
know
hired him
what
and
he did ban
he
instead?
banned which is honestly interesting. He almost should have accidentally banned them by banning Elite, I would have thought. What did he ban? Because you ban Elite just to get rid of lawyers, right?
Right, exactly.
So
That's what
what
I'm
did he
thinking.
ban?
What would
I
have
don't
been
know.
the ban?
I'd have to ask the Pope.
Okay.
I don't remember what he banned. I just remember him not really thinking too hard about it because he didn't play a lot of games. And I also know that Doug, or not Doug, I don't know why I said Doug. Jeff really didn't want to play against Landon. He wanted, or Owen didn't want to play against Landon, or Owen didn't want to play against me because we always match up. So we've done this, but we've played Captain Con before, and we always have this matchup.
Your last previous
So
Captain
they
Cons you
they
played?
just intentionally
Or,
picked the opposite, and I think they just picked the bad matchups, unfortunately, in order to do that. Because I think I was
yeah.
actually worried about Levy playing against it, or even playing against Tara, which I know Owen's pretty good at.
Yeah.
But then I just got to play against almost the exact same list. I'll show you guys. It was slightly different. Bum, bum, bum. But again, it was just another Jedza 2 list. This time he took a couple Surveyors and a Moraith instead of Lamplighter and what else did he drop? Drop for the Lamplighter. Yeah, Surveyors and something else. But yeah, you get the new models. They're so cool looking. But
The new.
ultimately
Oh, you
been
mean the
into
like the
anything.
alt sculpts?
Yeah, the new old sculpts
Okay,
that just
gotcha.
came out October?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like
they're
that. They
they're
are
so cool.
very cool looking.
Here's my exact identical list. So I had another run back. As you can see, the game was a little bit closer to score wise, but gameplay wise, very much the same. This one I actually kind of remember how it went. There was like this weird building off to like the far left because we're playing on flank again. And so they go he goes up to the far left and he's able to get like all of his schemes, which was deathbeds and protected territories, just off to the side doing whatever he wanted with like geode markers and killing my models because I think I had like one dog over there. So he basically traps a dog with geode markers behind a house on the far left with Jedza and some other model. And then I killed absolutely everything in the center, and then just had free reign of the board, and they just were stuck over there doing nothing, and so I pretty much just ignored them. So that he got like his guaranteed points I was going to get with these, but I was able to get everything else.
What did you ban? If you
Both of the
remember.
times I banned Dua to get rid of Jin. I didn't want Jin Bakura.
Okay.
Get him them
Yep.
pass tokens.
That makes that was my guess.
I
Because,
absolutely want to go last activation.
right, of course. How did you find sweating bullets?
I think sweating bullets is one of the freest schemes in the game right now.
Interesting. Okay.
It's another one of those like win more. But if you're playing like the Achilles kind of crews I'm playing, which is just like my style of playing, as most people know, then it's a free end game point if you successfully won. So a lot of the time when you're playing these
Sure.
killy kind of like team comps, you're always the problem is how do I score points at the end? Because a lot of things involve interacting, especially in GG4. Well, sweating bullets is one of the ones where you can just
That
take it.
doesn't.
If you kill your opponents, you get it.
Yeah. So and that's where I was thinking, but I also, because ideally, obviously, you're gonna score both points on your schemes, right? Like that's obviously the optimal play. And I think the reveal is potentially very hard to pull off because it relies on your opponent complying somewhat with you. Granted, the obeys theoretically help mitigate that because you could, in theory, obey their henchmen back towards the center and to set up your blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. That's why both of these games I'm pretty sure were sevens.
You only got the one.
I only got the one. Sweating bullets, I think I almost always got just the end game point. There were times where I intentionally turned down um getting the reveal point because a lot of times I just killed the model. Like turn 2, it's just like, oh, I can leave your henchman alive and score this point, and then I just go, no, bad juju, smash.
But right, you would rather generally a henchman's a high value target. If it's dead, you're probably better off in the long run.
Yeah.
Like you trade a point to remove a model, you're probably ahead.
Yeah. So that was this game. That was pretty much it. So then we get to play against our good friends Danger Planet, whose content is better than mine, and you should go watch it, and I'm on it anyways. So we had our, friendly content off game, and Landon dropped the ball. This was the scariest game I played. I played it against Doug. Good friend Doug. He doesn't play on Vassal a lot, so you mostly just hear him in the background and in a lot of our videos in Danger Planet. He plays a lot of different factions, kind of like I do, but at the moment he's been pretty solid in Rezzers, and I think his best master definitely is Seamus. And that's what he played against me. He played against Seamus, and I think I'm always terrified of Seamus. I think Seamus is one of those masters where it's just like, oh, I can just flip the cards and then I win.
Yeah.
Like I see the red Joker with intuition, I can just win.
Yep.
Immediately. And that's terrifying, and there's a lot of times I hate it. I really hate these big gun masters, especially when they do that, because it's so variable. And so essentially
So,
that's what's happened this game.
so what was the pool on this one? Because I'm seeing, what is that, five minions between the dead doxies and the bells, which seems very like you don't necessarily see that often with like super
Yeah.
wide lists like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Raid the
yeah.
vault, and then okay.
I'm still too loud. No, so here's the list. Raid the Vault, Power Ritual, take prisoner information of Outflank, Espionage. If you notice, there's a decent amount of like just drop scheme markers, and Raid the Vaults
Yeah.
just have bodies alive, and I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of these like super wide lists in GG4. I was a big fan of his list actually. A lot of it relies on Seamus to be the one to go around kill things, and then the rest of your models are just trying to survive, be annoying, and count towards points.
Sure.
And they're not like easy to kill models. They're all hard to wound with a random defensive tech like disguise and
I
other
did
random
not
annoying
know
things.
that wait, could you open the doxy again?
Yeah.
Six stones for disguised, hard to wound, 8.
8 wounds, yeah.
That's fucking rezzers, man.
Yeah, with
That's
the regret defensive. So any mask, if you're going after
They're
with
good.
call, just blanks your activation. So,
that.
and since you don't want to take focus attacks against them because of hard to wound, you do want to take the multiple attacks, and they just cheat in a mask, and you just go, well,
Huh. Yeah, I very rarely play against rezzers. For whatever reason, I don't get paired into rezzers. Locally, we don't really have any rezzers players currently. And then in Vassal, I play against Guild and Neverborn. That's really it. So yeah, I had no idea these were like they seem really good. And you just at face value. I can't speak anymore, but like Take by the Hand's pretty reliable. Um
yeah.
the seduction is annoying if it works. Like if you get that off, that's a bitch.
Yep. So no, that this was my list. This time I have Wicked Dolls. Because he banned the Corrupted Hounds, so I slapped an Ancient Pact on
Of
Zoraida,
course.
and that
Yep.
became huge. So I won this game by pure luck, partially because my opponent almost won it by pure luck, but essentially what ends up happening was I do all my stuff, I do my summons, he gets a pass token. I go as Zoraida, I get some decent damage in on, I think, one of the dead doxies I just got put out of position. So I basically killed a dead doxy turn 1. Summoned my totem. Um, Summon my totem, gets a pass token, kill the totem, draw my card. I wheeled on Zoraida's turn. That became huge. And then he gets to go with Seamus. And right after I wheeled, he gets to go with Seamus. And I threw 2 13s into his hand, including the 13 of crows, and he
Nice.
intuition sees the red joker. So he goes in
Yep.
there, shoots Angel Eyes, gets the crow trigger to stun player towards, gets the free attack, gets the red joker damage, and all of this, and I'm stoning. I forgot that Seamus just gets a 4th AP. For some reason I thought it was you needed the corpse marker, but that's just for the gun, so I almost stoned in a situation where I wouldn't have stoned because I needed to hit a bunch of moderate stones, and I did. And Angel Eyes lives with 1 HP. In like some magical world where I stone see 3 moderates and then a min on prevention, Angel Eyes lives with 1 HP, and I'm able to go with her, get stun removed because she hadn't activated yet. I think I cheated and tried to get focus for my bonus action because I forgot that she was stunned. But I believe it failed, and so I don't think it mattered, but it might have mattered. So that part, whoops. You know, one of those things that I think happens more commonly in in-person games where you and your opponent just forget about conditions because it's harder to see the board
Mhm.
state all at once because it's not on a screen and things are dynamic. But yeah, unfortunately, that did happen, and I believe it didn't matter. But yeah, I'm pretty confident it didn't come about mattering because I didn't hit the attacks on her, and the bonus action just failed. But then I get to go. I get to go with Angel Eyes top of turn 2. The big thing that super mattered was he kept both of his pass tokens, so he took a little bit of beating on Seamus, and I got to be tied on initiative flip, and I drew the red Joker, and he only drew 13. So I think I flipped a 13. He cheated a 13 to do a reflip, and then I just decided I'll just cheat the 4. Instead of doing a reflip, I'll just cheat the red Joker now, and then just go. So the whole game changed on him barely not being able to kill Angel Eyes, me seeing the red Joker on my initiative draw, and then I killed Seamus with Angel Eyes into Zoraid activation. So that game ended in a very very swingy game. Like if we had the Dota % chance winning, it like skyrocketed him to like 95%, and then just immediately plummeted to me winning by 95%.
That's always fun to watch. So, like watching chess match evaluations, you get the computer bar goes crazy. It's always very fun.
Yeah, it was very much just like when I saw the red Joker and the kill on Angel Eyes and the 13 of crows to get the pull towards him. I was just like, oh, okay, this game's just over. I was just like, all right, he just won. This game's over. And then I drew the red Joker. Angel Eyes lived by some clutch soulstone moderates, and then I drew the red Joker, and it was just like, holy crap. Also, him like minning every attack as well hugely mattered. I think if he flipped any moderates, he also would. I know he would have killed it because it lived with 1 HP. So if he flipped any moderates, Angel Eyes dies. But she didn't. So with that, we ended up with Sam beating Pope DARPA. We ended up tied on our actual diff. This got reported slightly wrong, so we're not 3-0. It got fixed. But because we had a better MOV, we were first. Also,
MOV standing for.
I don't actually remember what it stands for, but I think it's just your diff, right?
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. So you have victory points, which are your total amounts of victory points, and then your strength of schedules, and then MOV is just diff.
Okay.
So we had really strong diffs, and because I think my games were like 7-3, 7-3.
Yeah,
Pope had very similar games, and then our ending game was I was 6-2, and he lost only by 1 point. So we just had slightly better diff. We got first. He got second. Jesse teamed up with Brandon to make Team Dangerous conversation, and they got third. Nice. So shout out to us and Danger Planets. We stole podium for this event.
So it was rigged, is what I hear. Got it.
MOV stands for margin of victory, which equals diff. So there you go. That's technically what it stands for. Yeah, and then so that was day 1, and then we move on to Booty and Plunder. There was a little controversy in this tournament. I'll get to that a bit later, but here are the rounds.
What did you do?
I didn't do it. I was kind of a victim of it. I'll get into a little bit. I think I'll mention it. I won't mention names. It was just kind of weird, but whatever.
First time ever, it wasn't your fault.
So day 1, these are the rounds. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. Do you guys have any questions about the MCCI?
No, I'm good.
Just a normal tournament for that.
Yeah. Team tournaments are fun. It was a lot of fun. We might not do. I hear whisperings that maybe the MCCI isn't happening next year. Instead, we're going to try to do 4-person actual team tournaments for 3-person team tournament. And we'll have that be back.
See, I'd be more likely to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, because that that create like so like this event is great. You know, Kyle and I did it 2 years ago. It was a great event. But once you get like teams of 3 or 4, then you get like much more strategy and depth in the actual like match setup, which becomes a very interesting game within the game to play, and that's like a very satisfying experience to play out.
Now, my
I
favorite
think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, my favorite Malifaux tournament was the Boston team tournament with I was with Kyle and Brian for that one, and we had
John
Goldblum, who goes to every single tournament ever, and he was our teammate for that one. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that event.
It was a great event, and like that like the matchups make it so interesting, and then you get all the planning. Like it was just a phenomenal event. The downside being you need to be able to get, you know, ideally
4 friends on a flight to another state.
Right, yeah, well, teams of 3 and 4, and you need like 8 teams to really do the event properly. So you need tons of people to be able to dedicate the time to do it, and that's a big ask. But if you're able to pull it off, it is the best event you could do.
I think a team from Australia flew in for that. Wasn't that like the only time we played with the Australians? Or am I deluded? I knew there was someone out of country. There was one out of country team, and I thought it was the Australians. But
I think there were guys, but there wasn't a full team. There were some.
I think it was a couple people from Australia, and they matched up with a group from America. Might have been it.
Maybe I don't remember.
I think that is correct. There was at least like one out of country.
I do not remember that, but it's possible.
Yeah. And then on to Booty and Plunder. This is a pretty good event. How many people did we have for this? We had 33. So we had a nice showing at our local at the tournament. I have to go find my name. I got to play against Doug Bowman for my first round. So shout outs to Doug Bowman. Puts on a great event in Texas that is coming up soon, actually. So I say soon. It's actually, isn't it in like November?
Isn't it an October event?
Yeah, September, October, November, somewhere there.
That's not
it's quite
soon
a
at
while
all.
away. This year.
I guess depending on like how big your time frame is, it's soon if you're looking out like a decade.
Yeah.
But 8 months, I don't know, that doesn't seem super soon. But yes, I've heard very great things about that event.
Oh, it even records who is attacker. Nice. I do remember putting that in for when we were, but I forgot about that. So yeah, I got to play against Doug Bowman. We had our Neverborn off. He played a really interesting Marcus list, a very interesting Marcus list. This was it.
That's spicy.
Yeah. It was wild. This might have been it was definitely one of my more competitive games and one of my more interesting games. It was I think it all swung on one play that he made that I didn't really agree with.
So what was the idea behind this list in looking at this?
It's pretty much the same thing that, Doug found out at the Seamus list, where you just want a lot of guys. The Molemen enable you to go out into the flanks like so super well because they have, the whole tunnel marker and then give the tunnels to other people. Same thing with your Groot slaying. Like you put both of your layer markers.
Okay.
One in this, like one towards your deployment, and then one on each flank. Because we're playing plant explosives, so you just want to be off the sides, but you also have outflank in here and ensnare. So if you're able to take over the corners of the map, you can be like free scheming, free planting.
For a long time, I've heard the theory craft idea of the Molemen doing the tunnel thing to like activate your crew. I've just never actually seen or heard of anyone doing it. So like that's cool. I like that.
The main reason it was never really good was because you had it was too killy, right? And all these models just
Yeah.
die. But now that you're actually seeing people having to take these spread out lists to go drop scheme markers and all these things, I think it's much better. Hounds
Sure.
are also really good. You're giving these models stealth and disguise, armor. Like it makes it so hard to kill these models. So you have to actually put in a decent amount of effort to take down the models too, and so it's really annoying. And Marcus can really spread them out. So this was one of my I think this was one of my harder games. For sure. As
What
you
were
see, I'm just playing the same list.
Spawn Mother?
Yeah, so he knew to ban. So that was my hot. This is my hot tech. He knew to ban Widow Weaver,
Sure.
and so I was like, man, I really just want summons to be interact drop bots. Like that's what I've learned from playing GG4 has been like really good for me. I just need models to go out there and then just drop scheme markers or pick up opponent scheme markers. Like that's all I need. I don't need models killing things. I don't need them to help out solving things with like Stitch. If I just have them going around interacting, I can have the rest of my team, Zoraid, Bad Juju, Angel Eyes, Corrigan, go in and just like conquer the center. So I decided that Spawn Mother is just as good as, summoning puppets and does it reliably. All you need is a 6 of Rams or better. If you're willing to waste your Soul Stone, you can keep an egg marker
egg.
around, so you can be summoning 2 Gups every turn
Okay.
past turn 1. So you can
That's
get a lot of
cute.
these. You can get a lot of these Gups, and Gups are really good. I think. Obviously, they didn't do anything before in GG3, so they were utter
Right.
trash. But now that interacting is so massive for dropping scheme markers and picking them up, these stealth 4-wound models are really annoying to kill, especially because they're size 0. Don't get me wrong, they're 40 mils, so it's not like that hard to see them, but it's pretty hard to see size 0 models.
Yeah.
They're blocked by everything.
I've seen Spawn Mother and Gups by extension. I think exactly once. It was in, I want to say like the first Vassal World Series seasons. That what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years ago, whatever that was.
COVID 2019.
Yeah, and it was it didn't really like come up at all. I'm trying to remember. I think I was playing a doll list, and I just was like, I don't care. I'm gonna ignore it, and it was fine. And it was fine. That's a very interesting pick. I like it. They fill, in some ways that same role, and it's always nice to see like those models that never hit the table hitting the table, right? Like that's satisfying.
Yeah, no, especially with a leap that's only a 3 of masks. They're really
Which
good
is
at doing that.
really good. Yeah. And
It threw
like
Landon off a lot when I flipped like a 4 mask, and I was like, all right, cool, leap goes off. He's like, what stat are you?
Yeah. And as like an opponent, it feels bad to go after shitters like this, right? Like you have to. You need to kill them, but also like you probably have to hit them twice, and they're like little shitters, right? Like you don't want to invest resources in that. So
no, especially in GG4 where AP is so precious.
Yeah.
So yeah, having to waste 2 AP to kill a Gups is really bad. So no, I thought the Gups actually were super relevant. They 100% denied outflank. I was able to just stand there and either engage them so they couldn't drop a scheme marker or just pick up the scheme marker when they did drop it.
What did you ban?
Against Marcus, what did I ban? And a Neverborn player. I don't
kind
even
of
remember.
Guessing based on the list, it didn't matter.
I knew it didn't matter because I can't ban Corrupted Hounds because they're keyword.
They're beast.
So I think it works that way. I'm actually not even positive it works that way. I just assume, yeah, you treat them as versatile, so you can't ban them.
So you
Um,
probably, I'm guessing you banned Woe then for the
yes,
sake
that
of
is that I'm
Candy.
pretty confident you're right. I banned Woe just because it's a keyword to ban. I
Yeah,
don't think it mattered at all. He was never
yeah,
higher in Candy. This
right.
whole
Well, yeah,
game pretty much came down
based on
to,
reading this, it wouldn't have mattered.
yeah,
Yeah.
he just moved Slate Ridge Mauler too far forward, and he had like 2 upgrades on him, and then I just murdered him with Bad Juju and Zoraida, obeying bad, not even obeying Bad Juju, but just getting the mass trigger off on her attack for coordinated attack. And that's pretty much how this game went. Marcus went in and did some really annoying things in my backline, but I ended up killing him with Angel Eyes, I think, actually. No, I just ignored him. I just let him score points. That's a lot of what I did, was just let him score points. I almost hard into this game away because I dropped a marker, um one of my plant explosive markers, and then I charged with Bad Juju. So I ensorcelled Bad Juju to drop his marker and then charge to get into position. And then I remeasured the marker and to see if it was within 6, and I learned that it was within 6. One, because I put the other marker on the wrong side of the dog, and then when I went with Bad Juju and did it, I tried to put it underneath him, and then I charged with him, so it didn't even matter. And then I just realized, oh, I put it within, and then in order to make it like a legal placement, I had to put it on the center line, which just gave my opponent a free point. And then I later like wasted a bunch of AP picking them back up with like the dog and Bad Juju, and then reorganizing them so he wouldn't get more points. I really kind of try to lose this, but as fun as I think his list is, if you don't notice, it's a lot of things that just die to Angel Eyes. And stealth isn't that great at keeping these models alive from Zoraida. Because I don't think he knew about the FAQ. Because I brought it back up to just like prove I was right, but FAQ rules it that for purposes of stealth and stuff like that, Zoraida can attack you through a model that's within 6 of you, even if
Yeah,
she's
you
like 18.
calculate stealth based on the node, not Zoraida. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was able to just be like, oh, I just hex a dog twice, it dies, and I did a lot of that. So it was a lot of just hexing dogs away. Um, and then I got to summon some of my own dogs. So it worked out pretty well for me. I think this game was pretty close though overall. Yeah, 6-4. It ended up being very close because I can't really stop him from doing anything. The only thing that really
Yeah.
mattered was I could score my strat points because he put his bombs on the wrong people. Like Marcus only had like 1 bomb, and a dog only had like 1 bomb. So I was able to just kill all of his like low statted bomb runners, and then the Slate Ridge Mauler, which I think also had a bomb on him. Like he didn't put any bombs on Miranda, and if he just put like 2 bombs on Miranda, and she also done it, then we would have pretty much tied that game, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So
She's very good.
I think he lost just because of like what he did with the bomb placements. So legitimately, big fan of this list. It was hot, sexy. Round 2. Let's just get through these, I think. Bum bum bum. Round 2, I played against Jeffrey Mitchell, Arcanist player. Let's go show you guys his lists and what we were doing. Bump bump bump. Here are the schemes and strats. I took Espionage Information Overlord. He took Our Ritual and Protected Territory. He was just sand deep doing sand deepy things. And that just dies to Angel. So essentially what ended up happening in this game,
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It actually stops being true, I think, in the last 3 of my games. So he hid behind a forest so that I couldn't shoot him with Angel Eyes, but I just threw Bad Juju. Because of that, he clumped up a lot, and this is where Bad Juju shines. I just threw Bad Juju into him, and then just hit the quicksand trigger a couple of times, and then his whole crew just was slow. Like TN15 move is very
Really?
annoying to pass.
Okay, that's a little thing. Why do people say bad juju's bad?
I don't know. I
Because
really
okay,
don't know.
I get defense 3 is like horrendous. I have Deso engines. I get it, right? But also regen 2 hard to wound, eternal demise. So obviously, like if you're facing against Manos or
Which
anti-heal,
I banned Manos against every Reser player.
exactly, right? Like, but most factions outside of like Thunders don't have multiple diverse hard counters to Juju, right?
No, I think even anti-demise doesn't really do it. 9 Wounds Henchman, regen 3 essentially because Planted Roots is OP. Especially with Widow Weaver, because you just throw the web
Oh,
marker underneath Bad Juju if like you don't have terrain severe.
oh, I hadn't thought of
Um,
that. That's cute. Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you're essentially almost always regen 3. If they are putting damage into Bad Juju, that generally means they're fighting Bad Juju in close combat. And even if
Which
it's
is
not
not
close combat, it's within hex
right.
range of Zoraid then,
Yeah.
because unless you're also like Angel Eyes range 14ing exactly Bad Juju,
Uh-huh.
you're pretty close to him. And this guy's mobile as hell. Like Ambush, move 3, and he's just a move 5 model that's unimpeded.
With reach 2. Yeah.
With reach 2, like this guy, I've literally taken this guy from one half of the board to the other half of the board, especially
Yep.
because you can just ensorcel obey him if you need him a bit further.
Sounds like Zoraid is pretty good at killing things without Angel Eyes with
Yeah,
Juju. So,
no,
just
a hundred
I'm just
percent.
saying.
I'll get into it a little bit. Yeah, you're wrong for other reasons, but that's an argument for later.
But anyway, Juju seems really good, and I don't get why people shit on him.
No, absolute mad
Um,
lad. Single-handedly won me this game. He not only tar pitted like the whole entire crew. He was also proccing multiple quicksand duels, so a lot of his models were slow, not really able to do much. I don't think my opponent didn't draw like great hands, but the things he was like doing when he was trying to go off in the corners because did I say he took out flank? Um, no, power ritual, which is very similar. Um, I just denied by summoning a red cap and following his win gammon around and even his upgraded fire gammon into win gammon around because it's like, oh, I fly twice, I fly once, and then I attempt to leap, and then I drop a ski marker, and I just go, okay, walk, or walk charge you, because they have rush for some reason too, and then I attack you, I pick up your ski marker, I attack you again, so I just was able to have these summon red caps just follow these models around and just completely make them irrelevant. Um, yeah, because
so what I'm
all the range
hearing
on
is
red caps for some reason.
purple is bad and clearly needs more buffs.
Look,
Because
I
that's
think
what the
purple was bad
internet
in
said.
GG3, but we're in 4 now.
And then they got buffs. Yeah,
There's a reason I
right.
switched to purple and wasn't inherently playing it, but maybe you're right. Maybe purple players are just bad. That's actually, you know what? That's what I was just saying. I'm the savior of purple players.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
purple players
saying
are just
they knew.
bad. I
I'm
came
saying they
in and
knew
I
they were.
just,
I'm
you know,
saying they knew they were good, but they purposely created a propaganda narrative to gaslight Weird
uh-huh.
into giving them even better shit on top of their already strong
Which is why they
shit.
weren't winning any tournaments and most of the good purple players abandoned the faction.
Yeah, part of the narrative.
Uh-huh.
It's like the guild propaganda machine, but purple.
Yeah, this was the game where red caps were just OP. Information overload. Anytime information overloads in the pool, red caps are just they're just so stupid. Good lord. By the way, I legitimately think the puppet keyword's in a really good spot this GG. If anyone actually just wants to play hard puppets, Hinamatsu leader, perfectly good.
Has the puppet keyword ever been in a bad spot?
No, because they have Corfu Duet, so it was always broken.
You get the duet. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going with this. You get a duet, you win the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Please nerf.
All right. Rush into game round 3. Who did I play against here? I played against Oracle Toronto, and I banned Manos.
I'm shocked.
Wedge Cloak. Let's go look at his crew real quick. Bum. He was playing Von Stuck. This was a really funny interaction. So this whole entire time I've been helping my opponents like what they should ban. Partially because of like what happened to Owen. I didn't really feel like it would be nice because a lot of the people I'm playing, I don't want to say are locals, but they're not like Malifaux World Series tryhards who know all the meta lists and all the meta bans and stuff like that. So I was trying to help him out, being like, here are the normal bans. I'm like, all right, the normal bans for an Everborn, if you don't know them, are going to be Woe for Candy. You're going to want to, it's Nephilim in order to ban the dogs, which I've been saying are really strong and I love them. And
Yep.
then I say, and then specifically for Zoraida, Nightmare to ban Widow Weaver is another ban. And I told all of my opponents like these are basically your 3 bans against me if they wanted advice. This opponent came up to me. We were starting the game and he's just like, "All right, so what keyword is Angelize?" And I was just like, "Versatile." And he
Yeah.
goes, "Ah, fuck." um
I would think that of any faction, at least Rezzers seems at least the best poised to be able to like absorb Angel Eyes attacks just because they have so many wounds, armor, and hard to wound, right? So at least in that regard, green is probably in air quotes best off.
Yeah, I'll
Of
spend some time talking about Angel Eyes, I think, when we're done talking, just so that people can hear my hot takes, and I forced them to listen to this whole entire thing. But essentially, I almost never bother like stoning for rams or any of that crap unless I know it's like guaranteed kill. Like three wounds,
Sure.
I'll stone for the ram and stuff like that. But most of the time, you're right. You would think Rezzers would be good for all this hardware and stuff, but essentially all I do is just pump out normal attacks and then accomplice into Zoraida who pumps out normal attacks and then things just die. Like I don't need to invest that hard into it, and that's why it's so good.
Sure. Okay.
You're perfectly fine mini like because imagine like, oh, you're a really good enforcer, you have 8 wounds. Okay, that's 2 mins from Angel Eyes and 2 mins from Zoraida. That's it. You died.
Hmm.
So yeah, he played Von Stuck on pretty much the worst map possible for him. It was like these 2 temples to the side and this like little ball in the middle. He thought we were playing the little ball as just like cover because it's like a world atlas kind of thing, or like honestly it looks like one of like the Von Stuck things. It's just like one of those am I blanking on the
Telescope.
names? It's like those like spinny circles inside of each other, so they look cool when they all like spin at the same time. What I'm talking about? Like
A
just
globe.
concentric circles. Yeah, but it's not really a globe. It's just concentric circles, and they're meant to like spin when you hit them.
I know what you're talking about. I
A
don't know what they'd be
gyroscope.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, it was essentially one of those in the middle of the map, and I was playing it as blocking line of sight. He wasn't. He didn't know that we were playing it that way. It didn't matter. There were basically that was the only thing that blocked line of sight besides like the giant temples. Um, and we played them as blocking terrain, not that because we played the stairs as hills. I did not play because they're hills. I can see through them. We didn't do that stupidity. Um, I
I
knew to
mean,
declare everything as blocking.
rules as written.
Yeah, but if you just have to remember to declare them all as blocking hills.
Yes.
It's so funny.
Thanks, weird.
Um, yeah, so pretty much he sent a student Viscera along each one of those, so I couldn't see those, but everything else was in the middle of the map. So he went with Valedictorian as like second to last activation before Lovelace, and he killed a dog. That put him in ambush charge range of bad juju, so he, he instantly lost Valley turn 1, and then that game was over.
And yeah,
He had to go last with Valley if he was going in with Valley. Yeah, that was bad. So I think he was kind of a newer player. Not that new, but yeah. Um, that was just the misplay that guaranteed he lost the game. I think the map kind of screwed him on it anyways, because Angel Eyes just had free range to shoot everything along with Zoraida. Especially because Height 4 model solo onto and over everything. that's also why Bad Juju is so awesome, because having a height 4 model to draw line of sight through for
Yeah.
Zoraid is so cool. But this is the time where I said woe is like the common everywhere ban. He did get rid of Candy. I do think Candy's good against Stuk. This is at the point where I was probably like, I should have just told him like, hey, these are the two bans. You either ban the Corrupted Hounds or you ban Widow Weaver. It's one of the two. But
I mean, Candy's good against anything theoretically. So like
yeah, but this is my list, and I think
yeah,
people
like,
knew I would be playing this exact list. And don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of triggers you want in Stuk, and they have low willpower stuff.
yeah.
Although through round Stuk, they have you have negative flips against the willpower duels, but you know the 5s and 4s. But it's not like you're stunning these guys. Anyways, I just it's a thing. I mean, now people know the list. They know I'm never probably ever hiring Candy. I don't even know who I'd replace a model with to hire Candy, but
Did
whatever.
you remember to do the negative flips with when you hexed things?
I just knew not to hex anything next to Stuk.
Okay. I'm just saying, sometimes things get forgotten, and you're known for that.
No, I know Stuk pretty well. I especially that ability has hosed me before.
Okay, I'm just
So I
I'm
knew not
here
to
asking the questions.
I
That's
knew
it.
not to hex anything around there. That's always one of the things. Like, who's that on? Don't get me wrong, it's definitely on me as like I was going to say professional player. I don't get paid. Um, as
Yeah.
as a player who plays a lot and is known in the community as being a quote unquote good player, I definitely should know like a lot of these abilities by heart. So forgetting something, definitely the responsibility falls on both players, just like in Magic. But at certain
hold
points,
on.
if it's your models, I
Most
don't know.
important question. Throughout these 8 games of Zoraid, how many times
Like 5.
did you,
like 5.
did you use
like 5 total.
Reading the cards?
Like 5 times total, dude.
Okay. Out of probably over 100 uses. Like
every time I remembered it, though, it was really good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a really good ability. No, like it was like
a Zoraid player then, because there is no Zoraid player who has ever remembered to do that.
Yeah. I remembered it in the games that mattered, to be honest. Like the games where I was like super tryharding them, like the game against Landon, I think I remembered it more. And my final game, I remembered it more. But rest of the games, especially because like I don't want to say like I was just rolling people, but I won pretty solidly a lot of these games. And I think I'll say a lot of it's Angel Eyes' credit, but yeah, I just stopped remembering it when the game wasn't close anymore, to be honest. This is kind of what happens. Because I'm just focusing so much on like how to score, right? Because once you start winning the fight, a lot of those like knowing the top card of the deck stop mattering. And so I'm spending all of my efforts just trying to like plan out how to score things, and I just don't care about what's on top of either of our decks at that point. I know all the cards. All my plans are based on the cards in my hand. Sure, flipping them obviously is better than not, but this is a timed event. I should have mentioned that. We're playing with chess clocks, timed event. Each person has an hour, 7 minutes, and like 30 seconds, I think. And you can only go to the next turn if there's more than 10 minutes left collectively on your clocks. So a lot of the time, I was just too time pressured to even care about the ability. Is my excuse. Not that I just am a bad player. Yeah, I hold up the force, let them bleed. It was a very killy one, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is so disgusting with Zoraid. I got to do the exact bullshit that I think makes Zoraid so good on this strategy, which is just like, oh, okay, you took the time to take the intel tokens from my guys. I took them from you. I can't take them back from with that guy. Zoraid will just do it from a foot away. Very nasty. So I was able to pretty easily deny that. because of that. And then he kept the game surprisingly close with being completely tabled because of that. Not a lot of points I could score, and he was able to score the points he needed to, and it was just a close game. I think that's going to be GG4 a lot. If you're playing any crew that tries to just murder your opponent, they're going to be able to score points. So you have to make sure you're getting that extra 1 or 2 points somewhere in order to make sure the game's tilted in your favor even after you table them.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
All right, here's where the controversy begins. I'm not going to mention names. I'm gonna try not to show things. So just look at I played Pope. I shouldn't have played Pope. I should have played Miscellaneous in this tournament, which would have been awesome because I've never played him in person. I don't think we've talked, and I don't think we've ever played each other on Vassal either.
I played him on Vassal, I'm pretty sure. If it's the game I think it is, I'm pretty sure it is. It was a phenomenal game. That was like season 1 of Vassal, and it was just 10 out of 10. Great.
Yeah, like I know he's a good player. I've talked to him multiple times. It would be really. I've just coincidentally never been matched against him, so it's not really happened. And he's playing a really fun list, but I'll get to that later. So I was gonna play against him. I was pretty excited for it, especially because I didn't want to play Landon. This night I got like literally 0 sleep. I shared a room with Landon. He snores, and then I have a noisemaker to try to help, and we had a warring fight over trying to sleep, and it meant neither of us got good sleep. When I don't get good sleep, I get like queasy and nauseous, and oh my god, it was such a bad. I felt so fucking shitty this whole day, but I'm pretty good at clutching it up when I need to. So during the game, I was able to do that. What ended up happening was the guy. I don't know how much I want to go into this. I'll go into it. I don't think it's really a bad thing. The guy, it was just kind of annoying. The guy who is the other undefeated player, because there were 4 of us, kind of. Miscellaneous had a tie under his belt, but was otherwise undefeated. It was me, Landon, and one other player. And Landon and him had a better diff than me, so they were matched against each other. I was matched against Misk. He had church in the morning, which got canceled and moved to a later mass time. So he had to drop the round 4 to go to mass. So he took a 0-8 loss, I believe, but they rearranged the rankings so it wasn't against Landon. So instead of doing a 0-8 loss or like the 2-6 loss you would see in World Series,
sure.
They dropped him from the tournament, redid the pairings, and then had so that meant to me and Landon had to play against each other at that round, which is just kind of really annoying.
Sure.
Landon was Iron Scorpions. For those who don't know, Iron Scorpius means that you play a different master every round of the tournament, and whoever is the best at doing that wins its own special prize. He had Asami left though, so screw me. That being said, he had Asami left, and he doesn't play Asami, doesn't know the really annoying summon list, and doesn't really know how to do his unpack.
He knows it, but he also doesn't know Asami. So like adding in all the extra stuff makes that even more complicated to
I know he's like played Asami before, so he has a vague idea of what to do, and he knows this list is good, although he doesn't think it's that good, and he's a bit more negative on it than I am. I think this is one of like the best lists in the game. He did it slightly differently than I think it normally is, but essentially it's Asami Lady Yume. You use Lady Yume's ability to make your deck really good with places, and you run and because Asami allows every charge action to be a place, every Oni model procs this, so you can see the top cards of the deck. When you know the top card of the deck's a card you want to go with, you can just go with Terracotta Warrior to draw that card. So it's like you see a 13 and a 5, you discard the 5, you put the 13 on top. Then you go with the Terracotta Warrior and you just draw that card. So that's the way you basically rig your hand to have like these god hands. Gwyneth Maddox also helps you obviously do that too with rig the deck. You just wait until you see good tops, rig them, throw your bad cards in. Landon really doesn't like Gwyneth, and
I know because Nathan that one time drew 3 cards off of it. First time ever anyone's drawn a card off Gwyneth. An enemy has drawn a card off Gwyneth, but still. It's very impressive by Nate.
Yeah. But he kind of had a point. It didn't really do much. Essentially what happened though this game, he kind of messed up his deployment. He banned Nightmare, so I was taking Spawn Mother because he knew to do that. Yep. We're both feeling miserable. We play the game, and he mispositions Asami, and doesn't have a Terracotta Warrior nearby Asami. And I throw Bad Juju and Angel Eyes and Zoraid at her, and I kill her. So she died end of turn 2, beginning of turn 3. I don't really remember which one it was. Mm-hmm. And then blew through all of his soul stones, killed his model. He summoned like Obsidian Oni, which ended up murdering Spawn Mother and the Gups, but not all the Gups. One of them alive. We have so many markers on the board for information overload. I think we ended up with like 20 markers on turn 3 between the two of us. It was an insane amount of markers. But I killed this master. I do this stuff. And then essentially writing's on the wall, and we agree to call it 4-3. He thinks he might have been able to bring it to a tie. I really don't think that's true. I'm pretty confident I could have gone for a couple points higher. But as I said, it was a bad morning. I killed his master. I killed almost all of his models. I have a couple Gups alive to pick up markers and drop them from interact. All he has left is like a Terracotta Warrior and like Gwyneth. And I'm scoring the strat points and he's not at that point. So it basically came down to just being like, look, I'm going to get these couple points no matter what. You at most get this point. I maybe could get like this 3rd point to guarantee that I win by 2 points instead of winning by 1. And but I'm willing to call it 4-3, and that's what we ended up doing. So then we could go get food, and thankfully I got some Tums handed to me by Jesse. Shout out to Jesse. That was really clutch for me, honestly. So I literally went outside and just took a walk to go to like 7-Eleven and just to be outside taking a walk, breathing in fresh air. It was I don't work well off of no sleep. But that's what happens when you play unending amounts of games of Malifaux.
Yeah, 8 games in 3 days is a proposition, and then you take in travel and all that, and it's rough. It's very rough.
Yeah. So it was like I know I have this game won. Landon knew I had it won, and then we just called it. Game 5. Last game. I'm the only last quote unquote undefeated, true undefeated. The only 4-0 left. Misk at this point is 3-1-0, and so tie wins me the tournament, and a victory wins me the tournament. So I'm playing for a tie or better. That's always nice when you get to do that. But here is his really fun Mei Feng 1 list. As you can see, he's also a firm believer that spreading out is really good.
See, this to me looks like what I would think of as like that's just a Mei Feng list in my mind.
Maybe if you played against her in like GG2, GG3.
Yeah,
it wasn't really possible to go this wide. The only
difference would be like the Gammon and Gammon Survivor and a Miner. Theoretically, some combination gets changed to the Golem, maybe.
The Pig as well is pretty good in kill. In kill pools.
Oh sure, I've never been impressed by the Pig, but I'm the faction of anti-armor.
Mechanized pork chop.
So I ignore armor like by blinking in Outcasts. So like Arcanists don't bring the pork chop against
against
Ouch.
Outcast. Yeah, that's fair.
So
I don't. I
it
would say
doesn't
there's no ignore armor in Neverborn, but Angel Eyes is a model now.
So yeah, pork chop generally doesn't impress me, or like I've killed it with Jackdaw and I've just punched it to death and burned out your entire hand. Like I've never been impressed by it, but that's me. Yeah, that's one time. I've seen it be good, right? Like it seems like it should be good. I've just never experienced it.
Yeah. So yeah, game 5, Neverborn, Beifeng, same list. I think he banned I don't remember what he banned. I obviously banned Puppets or Performer, just so I don't have to see the duet.
Yep. Makes sense.
I don't know. This game was pretty clear cut. The main thing that happened was this was the game where I summoned and stitched. Bad Juju do bad Juju things. He also I like twice flipped like just a high crows. I think he flipped a 12 and a 13 of crows turn after turn, and that was devastating for him. But essentially he kind of placed Kang in a bad spot turn 1. I pretty much put Kang down to almost death. Was able to kill him, I think, at the top of turn 2 with Bad Juju. This is the only game where Bad Juju, I believe, ended up dying. He put enough damage on Bad Juju to kill him. While he was doing that, I was able to do a lot of scheming and scoring. The big thing I ended up was able to doing was engaging Mei Fang and like Sparks and like a survivor with a stitched. And the stitch basically was just keeping him engaged so they couldn't drop and couldn't interact with the couldn't interact and drop things for plant explosives. Protecting my plant explosive markers under them because obviously they can just rail walk away. But I was pretty decent at keeping the ski markers away from me. I either killed the ones that would drop onto his side, or if he like the one time he went with the metal gamer to just get it up the board, I just went with Widow Weaver and then turned it into stitched.
Sure.
So I think
Widow
he
Weaver's
bans
a
Nightmare
really
no matter
good-
what next time he does this, and I
Yeah.
definitely just take Vasilisa anyways because I really want to do that. But obviously, being a henchman is much better than being a.
Well, either
enforcer.
one of them's really good, like specifically into Fang, right?
Yeah.
Because they eat scrap to
Yep.
do their shit. So you're feeding the Neverborn player free resources to do good things easier, which obviously like
Yeah.
sucks to do. Like that's terrible.
Especially because it's not once per. I never
Right.
got a double summon off, I think, but you know, if it happens, you can just do it.
Yeah.
And that's really nasty. But yeah. So essentially, what ended up Sip just tanks everything. He got I was like ancient. I lucid to see like a 13 of masks. Threw that on top. Threw that out of the deck, and then just got scrap placed under me. Got injured, but I'm still just tanking hits and surviving. He puts me to 1. I go with Zoraid, get him back to full. He puts me to 1. I go with Zoraid, get him back to full. He wasted like 2 whole turns trying to kill one Stitch together. And then when it finally goes down, the rest of his crew is dead. And Bad Juju goes in, gets a really nasty quicksand trigger, and then he kills Bad Juju. And it's like, well, you just put way too much AP into killing my models, where I just got to go with Angel Eyes and Zoraida, and pretty much just like kill all the survivors and the metal gaming by just pinging them off across the map. Because there's like this really nasty building I can put. I was able to put Angel Eyes on using Kurgan. Actually, I think I just walked off it, but Kurgan, shoved him in. And so I was able to clutch out the tournament with a 7-3 for the final round. And then I was able to get first as undefeated. Landon got second, and Iron Scorp. But yeah, that was the whole tournament.
Really, it's Landon's most impressive because he Iron Scorp, so he really won the event.
Yeah, except for I beat him. But yeah, that was the tournament. And I guess any questions? We want to talk. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Bullshit, and the glow up was too much.
It just shouldn't have accomplice. I think if you removed Accomplice, Angel Eyes is perfectly fine. Most of the times, I almost find myself never stoning for a Ram or a Tome. I think there was a couple situations where that happened. I think I used it to like guarantee kill a Metal Gamer, specifically in this match. It was just like, oh, cool, I'll just Soulstone for the Tome, and then I will throw in the Severe to just do 5 to you, and then ping Metal Gamer down, even with shielded. And so it's obviously really good in those scenarios. Those scenarios don't come up that often. I think the really annoying thing is me being able to be like, okay, well, I have 2 Ancient Packs. I'm winning initiative on turn 2 because I feel fine cheating the 13, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Angel Eyes. I'm going to shoot you with Focus. I'm going to shoot you with Focus. And then most of the time, those probably hit naturally because I'm at plus flips, because nothing puts me in a negative, essentially. And then maybe I cheat my cards in hand, maybe I don't. Who knows? I'm fine minning most of the time. Even against like good models, sometimes you don't min, sometimes you hit crit strikes. It's whatever. Then Zoraid gets to go. And then that's where things break down, because your model survived Angel Eyes' activation basically always. And then dies to Angel Eyes most of the time. Not like people are like, oh, you can ensorcel Angel Eyes. No, I threw bad juju in your face turn 1. That's who's murdering you. It's not Angel Eyes, it's bad juju. Yeah. Angel Eyes is just the setup for like the wombo combo of guaranteeing like your 9 or 10 Soulstone model is just fucking gone on turn 2. And that's nasty. Like, if you had Accomplice and you could go with that model, you could rescue them with I Got Your Back or some other shenanigans, heal them up, then it's not that big of a deal. But
so like I'm operating under the belief that this is how Angel Eyes will be until the edition changes over, right? So what's the counterpiece here? Besides like, don't get shot, idiot. Like what do you do to
It's honestly, it's just that. It's don't get shot, idiot. Like, you have to understand that if she's not shooting you at range 14, then you're fine. You're fine. If she's having to waste focus to take these like long range shots, you're not dying to that. Maybe like your little small guys are, but you hired a lot of them, and so you're kind of fine like sacking 1 to have better positioning on the rest of your crew. But other than that, it's just don't go that far forward. Like, but and it's not range 14. Most of the time, I'm moving her forward with Kurgan either by 5 inches or placing her 3. And so your options are either trying to kill Angel Eyes immediately,
it's a combination of
or
the
just
kit.
Stay further back.
Kurgan throws her forward, which
puts her in position.
19-inch range. Then theoretically, and then you go off that. So, like and that's very hard
that, honestly.
To, like,
because the Kurgan also does the 3 aura placement in front of him if he needs to. Most of the time, you're just putting Angel Eyes in a good spot. You don't want to like throw her forward, obviously, especially with Kurgan, because that's probably before Zoraid and Bad Juju go, so that's like decently early.
And this is my problem. It's like, oh, don't go that far forward. But in like this GG, where you can't like, a lot of it is predicated on getting into your enemy's half of the board, right? So like, there's that mix of like, you just have to absorb, know that you're gonna lose 1 to 2 models a turn between the Angel Eyes Zoraida Wombo, and you just have to suck it up, which doesn't like that's not super helpful unless you just have innate stealth like Thunders does. I suppose. We're not all blessed.
I think it's you can definitely position in ways where Angel Eyes can't interact with your crew in a healthy way. That's essentially what happened in my game versus Landon, except for like the one problem he did is he went with Aminozaku a bit too early and positioned him in a spot that was pretty far away from most of my crew. Like Angel Eyes wasn't able to shoot him. Zoraida didn't have a way because he was a far corner, but I just walk ambush with Bad Juju, Sorcel to Bay Bad Juju to charge him, attack. And that was the one time I obeyed Aminozaku to walk into Angel Eyes' range. So then Angel Eyes actually could just do the Wombo combo and then kill him beginning of turn 2. That doesn't happen if he just stayed 5 inches further back with Aminozaku, and then I'm shooting nobody with Angel Eyes or Zoraida, unless I'm actually throwing Bad Juju into his entire crew. And then even then, it's not angelized. It would be just Zoraid getting some hexes off at that point, or like the long range focus attacks. But then again, he's hiding behind cover. Like Landon did what you're supposed to do against the crew, and it worked pretty well. And his is a pretty fragile crew ish. Like none of the models are that amazing at living. Like Terracotta, don't get me wrong, they take 1 damage, but I'm fine hitting them 3 times.
Right.
The point being though is like he had the correct defensive placements and correct hiding, and the map was obviously decent enough. I mean, it is potential. You just get one of those like lackluster terrain maps that have no real blocking terrain, and
Right.
what do you do then? You just have stealth or you alpha strike. Those are your 2 options, right? And alpha striking Zoraid doesn't feel great, because even if you can kill Angel-Eyes, if they haven't gone with bad Juju or Zoraid yet,
Juju just
ugh.
countermercs it. Yeah.
So I think the real counterattack is activation control and securing
Which is hard when
initiative.
you have theoretical double ancient pact.
Yeah, like Landon lost that game largely on cheating cheating his red not cheating his red Joker and cheating a 13 instead, and assuming I didn't just draw 13.
Right.
And so that was very unfortunate in him, because I hexed him while stoning for a mask, I think. Or no, I just hexed him because I had the 13 of mask in hand. So I just hexed him, and then he cheated the 13, and then I just cheated the 13 of mask, and Zoraid, bad Juju, beat up Phenomenal Zaku.
It's a good combo. It gets the job done very reliably.
Yeah. So I think if he cheated the red first, he was fine. He survives. Maybe not like great into turn 2, but much better. Like I'm putting like there are hefty investments going into this, like how I shape my crew, how I build it, just like every alpha strike ever. This is essentially a kind of alpha strike, and the value falls off pretty quickly, because I think the current value for like top tier masters is pretty high, and just hexing a guy 2, 3, 4 3 times is not it. Even with ensorcel obeys, a lot of the time like some master AP are just insane, like Damien's. And you can have a blasting one and then also do irreducible damage and other shenanigans. So I think I think if you're playing against this list, what you're doing is playing chicken on the map, and I definitely think that's very hard, very annoying to doing. Some maps don't let you do it, and it's all because Accomplice exists. If Accomplice didn't exist, this isn't that big of a problem. Not even close to that big of a problem.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, so that was CaptainCon, our giant tournament. The first thing I did when I got back is I slept for 12 hours straight. It was pretty clutch. I took the day off after my plane flight, just because I knew I was going to be dead from not sleeping well, and I was right. I've decided I'm getting a hotel room to myself forever in future tournaments.
Yeah,
I'm an adult. I have income. I can do that.
Exactly.
I'm done.
Yep. You have income and you're an adult. Just get a room.
Yeah. Part of me was just like, part of me is looking like, oh, this X amount of hours of work, I can really save that by just sharing a room. Especially because last time I shared a room with Landon at like, I don't remember where it was. Might have been Gen Con, but that's so long ago. Probably wasn't that, but maybe.
Texas, right?
Oh yeah, Texas. It was Texas, yeah. It was no problem. I had no problem. He didn't snore that time, or if he did, I was able to sleep through it. Not this time.
So you have to teach him to join that class where you train your muscles in the back of your mouth to keep it from snoring.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Or just don't snore like me.
Or just spend an extra $60 to $70 a night on my own room.
Or what we need to do is all 4 of us go, and then we stick Landon with Brian in a room, and then we sleep together because neither of us really snore, and we can't stand snoring.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm
I don't know
down.
what you're talking about, Kyle. I don't snore.
You
Yeah, that's a
snore like a
bold-faced lie.
goddamn freight train.
That's a bold-faced lie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I might just spend the extra $60, $70 a night.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess the next big tournament I'd probably go to is Texas again. There's a strong push to get us to go to Nova, and I might do that again, but Nova's a bit more annoying to do just because it's like downtown DC
Well,
and it's
and
expensive.
like the way, at least like how it's been, where like the invitationals, what on like the Wednesday, Thursday, or
Yeah, that was
Friday,
the
or
other big thing.
Thursday, Friday. So then, like, just the amount of PTO you're like burning to get there
Yeah.
makes it hard to justify.
I know there were talk about doing the Invitational a different time because a lot of us felt
Yeah.
that way, and I dodged the last Invitational because of that. But I don't know if they fix it. For anyone who doesn't know and stayed this long to listen to us, there is a big North American Invitational event that's based off of like your region. They divided America into regions and also allow some vassal points for a couple players, I think. And then
You qualify and you
yeah,
get
you
to
qualify
go.
to get invited and go play. But there's
Well,
just like a
and
decent chunk of us who are like, I don't want to take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
that that's like I've qualified both the last 2 years now, and I haven't gone, between just like the money. It like Washington DC in like tourist season is incredibly expensive, and then like I can't burn like 4 to 5 days of PTO to make this happen. Like I need PTO across the entire year. I gotta spread that out. So it's unfortunate because I would love to go, but I just can't. I can't make it work yet. So
Yeah.
hopefully it gets changed up and it's more conducive to more of the like national community. But until then, you're gonna have a lot of people who qualify who just can't go. Just too
Yeah,
bad.
I know it might be like a little hard or annoying to do because, you know, the people who setting it up, but it would be nice to just pick like honestly like a small state or a decent hub. I honestly I'm gonna shill it. Chicago is a great choice. We're a huge hub.
Chicago makes them like
A lot
it
of
would be like
flights are really cheap to Chicago.
yeah, like Chicago or Atlanta.
And you can go to
Make
a hotel in the suburbs that's like, you know, decently cheap.
Yep.
Atlanta, yeah, another great hub. Um, but I understand it. Part of the problem is like getting the TOs around there, which is one of the other reasons I suggest Chicago is we can get the terrain for the whole tournament and stuff like that. But yeah, it's tricky, and I get that. It would be nice if we could make Adepticon a real. Instead of Adepticon, we can just have a real tournament and have the Invitational then at the same time.
a real tournament. Oh wait, I can't go because I'm waitlisted. Sorry.
Yeah, Adepticon got a lot of people going to it this year.
It's good to see. Like that's great.
It is
Yeah, I
sad.
was gonna go until I was a day late in signing up for events, and everything that I wanted to do was literally sold out. I'm just like, well, maybe I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah,
I'm not even going. I might help TO. I do know they're actively in talks with Adepticon to try to increase the size. So
yeah, I know
shout outs
they're
to the people
working
trying
on
to
it.
get that to work.
Yeah, they're working on
Brandon
it.
being one of them. So shout out to Brandon.
It's just it's like, oh, this is unfortunate that it worked out like that. So we'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see, and hopefully it works out because I'd love to go, but
Yeah, I think it hurt that last year they did the 40 Soulstone thing, and a lot of
yes,
people just didn't care to go, and then so they weren't able to get like the same size
they
this year.
lost spots because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that really that's just unfortunate. But hey, it does mean that maybe next year they'll get more spots because it's so good. So, well, hopefully that comes back as a good thing. But also hopefully they just get more rooms and people end up going. So it'd be pretty cool to see everyone there.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I'm thinking I'm gonna end the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian and Kyle, for coming and doing this with me. I don't think I'm great at talking to a camera, so it was a lot of fun to be able to bounce things off of you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Anytime.